do better when I move around, sure. So. Well, here's the thing. Let me just say, let me start with saying, I'm going to look around the room. Come on, this paper. Are you doing it?
Elvin.
Nice to meet you. As I look around the room, there is not a person in this room who doesn't have a lot of sweetness and love in you. Because I see you every day. I see your smiles. I see what you have. I see what you're doing. Now let me tell you something. Our job is to get that across to people, okay? You do it at times, and sometimes maybe you're a bit shy or a little quiet, or you're involved in something. Our job is to get that across. Let me explain. In the United States, we've had, in my career, we've had several times when the market goes, economy changes, patients aren't going to spend as much on dentistry because that's kind of an option for them. They think, well, I don't have money for whatever. Sometimes they'll buy a new TV and not go to the dentist, right? Sometimes they'll go on a cruise and not go to the dentist. That's their business, the way they spend their money. But guess which practices thrive? The ones who are, what Raja just said, over the top. The ones who are superseding, who are doing everything in the most outstanding way, right? Those are the practices that thrive. And guess what? In the worst market, those practices still make a lot of money, treat a lot of patients, make people happy, and the staff go home happy. Think about it. And every single one of you, I know who you are. You're kind, you're loving, you have it inside. Now, how do we get it across to the patients? So when they walk in, picture yourself going to, you all go for your medical every year, or every couple of years, whatever it is, right? You go in for your medical, and then nobody's looking at you. It's kind of like, whatever. And you get their attention, and you ask what you need, and so forth. Think of how you would feel if somebody looked up at you and said, "Good morning, how are you? Are you here for your medical?" You'd be like, "Oh my gosh, am I in Seha?" Right? We want to be that. We want to be, let's say on the phone, American Dental Clinic. Now, the other thing is we have to speak, we all have different accents. An accent is merely a speech defect, if you will, in a certain language. That's all it is. If I tried to speak Tagalog, you guys would laugh. I can't, so you won't laugh. But every time we speak any language, including my English, in some parts of the country, I have a speech defect. I have a funny accent. Okay, so we have to speak a little bit more slowly with people because then they really understand. So many times people don't want to tell you they don't understand. Okay, so one thing is speaking slowly so that they get what you're saying. So imagine this: somebody answers the phone. American Dental Clinic. Good morning. This is Dr. Chris. Not too many words, right? Because they're kind of waiting to tell you what they want. And this is something Raja will determine. I don't determine this, but I'm just pointing out, slow enough for them to hear who you are, and slow enough for them to be sure. Have you ever called someplace and you're thinking, did they say the place I was trying to call? You're wondering, is this really the place? You call a restaurant. You call Jones the grocer, and you're like, did they say Jones the grocer? Because they spoke so fast, you're not even sure what they said. Okay, so slowly, and good morning. Oh my gosh, right there. You've already exceeded the expectation because they're thinking, wow. And that's what we want to do. In this particular market, everybody talks about surviving in a business. We don't want to survive. We want to thrive. We want to be wow. We want to have a fun life, a wonderful life, and the patients go away going wow. Right? So it starts from the very beginning with those of you at the desk who say, good morning, and this is important, make eye contact, right? Look at them in the face. Let me tell you a little story. Some years ago, I was at the Ritz-Carlton. You guys know Ritz-Carlton hotels? Nice hotel, fancy hotels, okay? They're around the world. I was at one in Atlanta, Georgia, the United States. And we have a pediatric dental meeting there every year, and I used to go pretty routinely. I haven't been, I guess we were there a few years ago. It's been a while now. Ritz-Carlton is known for exceeding the expectations. That's their whole deal, right? And Raja was telling me she worked with Four Seasons and they do the same thing. Some of these really nice hotels really have it down. So we're gonna learn from them. Okay, so I'm there at the desk and I needed help with something. I don't remember, it was something minor. You know, something with my room or an extra key, I don't know. And the guy, you know, looked at me and said good morning and said, how can I help you? Making eye contact. I felt like we were actually communicating, right? And I told him what I needed and he took care of it, but he took care of it really well. And I said, really, kind of quickly, and I said, thank you. And he said, looking at me, making eye contact, it's my pleasure. And I knew it really was his pleasure because of the way he looked at me. Do you see what I'm saying? Not flirting, I mean, it was just genuine. So I'm going to challenge each of you to use the phrase, it's my pleasure, when somebody says thank you. Or when somebody, you know, let's say you get a cup of coffee for someone, and the parent or the patient says thank you, my pleasure. Making eye contact, it's my pleasure. You can say it's my or just my pleasure. It's even better than you're welcome. Why? Because you're welcome is just so, you know, used all the time that nobody pays attention. When you say it's my pleasure, all of a sudden they're like, wow, this Benny guy just said it's my, wow. You see? This is what I'm going to challenge you and ask you, let's make our patients feel wow. And that's one way. Another way, if you walk through the reception room and you see someone sitting there and you don't know them from Adam, that's a saying in the States. You don't know them from Anne Marie. You don't know who they are, right? Guess what? You work here. This is your home. You're welcoming. So you say, good morning. And you keep, let them say good morning, you keep walking. You don't have to sit and talk, but you make eye contact and say good morning or good afternoon. Why? Because they feel like, wow. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? This is who you are. This is who you are with each other. This is who you are with your families. This is who you are with friends. So now, in our home, all of our home, you're going to be welcoming with the patients, the visitors, the patient, the parents, whoever it is. Yes? And those are some of the ways you can do it. So, eye contact, it's my pleasure. Greet them. Just keep walking. You don't have to stop and chat. You know, you're on a mission. Dr. Grace said, go get so-and-so, I need it, and you're going to get it. That's fine. Good morning. Just keep walking. You see? But can you imagine how you would feel if you were at Seha and somebody did that with you? Wouldn't that feel good? Yes or no? Yes? Yes? Yes. It would, of course it would. But the funny part is that's who you are. That's who you are. But we have to show it.
Sorry, even if you know the patient or you don't know the patient, if you're just walking by,
that's right.
You shouldn't have to greet only, if you're assistant of Dr. Grace or Dr. Becker, you greet only your patient. Everywhere you find patient, you meet patient, you greet. Doesn't matter he's your patient or Dr. Maria's patient, Dr. Becker's patient. That's, I think, what you want to mention.
Exactly. Now, let me tell you another story. The other story I want to tell you is a parent that came in recently to ortho. And good morning, Dr. Maria.
Sorry if I have to be big.
A parent comes in recently, and he was a tall man from California. And he comes in and we do our little exam, and I don't remember who was with me, either Christine or Ann, and the first thing he said to me, I had greeted him, we had offered him coffee. Oh, we got to talk about coffee too. And you know what he said to me? He was very nice, shook my hand. He said, do you know you have some really bad reviews on the website? Right? First thing he said. Now, as a human being, you kind of go, woof, right? You're almost like, oh my gosh, what do I say now? I said, about me? Because if it had been, hey, I got to hear it, right? He said, oh, no, not about you. About somebody else. You know? Now, think about this fact. This man is telling me we have bad reviews on the website, which we never want to have, even with crazy people. And we have crazy patients, guys. You know that. You've all met them. Yes. You all know who they are. At least some. But he's here with his child for me to see his child. So I'm thinking, well, it can't be all bad, right? You know, he's complaining about the reviews, but he's brought his child. He said, no, we want you to see him for his braces. Okay, so this is a good thing. Do you see what I'm saying? Even with bad reviews, which could be a cuckoo person. I don't know the person that put it on there. Or it could be someone who seriously had an issue, because people are all different and sometimes we can't meet everybody's needs. But the reality was that he came anyway. And I said to him, I always ask, so how did you get to us? I always ask that, because I want to know who referred them, because we want to say thank you to the person that referred them. And he said, oh, you know, Mrs. So-and-so, I don't remember, somebody's mother, you know, one of the other parents referred me. And they said, I have to come here, that we have to come here for the braces. That's because of wow. Yes? Isn't it? What else would they say to go there with bad reviews? He just read them. That's because of wow. Now, let me tell you about wow. How did we get wow? Every person that walks by in our ortho area tends to say, can I get you a cup of coffee? Somebody might have 4 people say, can I get you a cup of coffee? Right, Ann? But guess what? Do they care? Do they think that's obnoxious? They think it's wow. That's what they think. They might say, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. Wow. Okay? Offer coffee. Thank goodness we have these wonderful choices of coffee. We have the Nespresso, which I just had this morning, and very nice, that Raja's arranged. We have the cappuccino espresso machines, Italian whatever, which some people really like. And we have the one with the sugar and the milk that, you know, is like total dessert, you know, other ones. We have choices, right? So the point is, offer coffee. Now, if you're walking by and you're on the mission to get something for Dr. Grace, you're not gonna stop and offer coffee. You're gonna say, good morning, and just keep walking, okay? But if you have the minute, or if it's patients that you're gonna be dealing with, you know, before you bring them back, can I get you a cup of coffee? Yeah? That's wow. This is who you are. You just have to show it. And let me tell you what's gonna happen to this clinic. This clinic is going to be where people want to come. We have an advantage. Let me tell you what it is. We have several. Number one, it's called American Dental Clinic. I'm honored that people think Americans are somehow great. I wish everybody was, but listen, let's take credit for it and say great. We're the American Dental Clinic. They want to come to American. Super. We're here. Number two, all of you are gracious, kind, sweet people, without exception. When they walk in here and figure that out, they're done. They're wonderful. This is exactly where they want to be. Does that make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. It's well. We've got to get to well, and here's what's going to happen. People are going to flood the doors. Now, Raja will be trying to figure out how to hire staff fast enough, because we can't always find the people that we need to add to the staff. This is what's going to happen. Right, Dr. Maria? This is wow, guys. So I feel like you can do it. Now, we are going to start, Raja's working on position agreements, where we list some of these things, because you're like, what else did they say? What else did Dr. Chris say? She said something about coffee and what? So we'll kind of get some of this put down on paper, because, you know, after a while you're like, there's so many things to remember, I can't remember everything, okay? And for your particular position, reception, lab, clinical, whatever it is, you'll have a little listing, which you'll get to keep. You'll sign it that you got it and that you understand what those things are, and then you can know what is expected. And as Raja said, these are expectations. Hod says don't wear your uniform to work. Hey, let's not mess with Hod. Things are part of the wow. Because I heard another story I'll share with you, and then I'll be quiet. This lady, I read this somewhere. She said that she was in a dental office, maybe it was a medical office, I don't remember. And she said she was in the ladies' room, and she went to the bathroom and she was washing her hands, and she saw somebody else come out of another stall and not wash her hands and walk out. And she got to wherever, you know, she was going to be seen, and here comes the woman who didn't wash her hands. And she's supposed to be her, treating her. I don't know if she was a nurse or the physician, I don't know, whatever it was. This lady said, she stood up, she said, there is no way you're touching me. You went to the bathroom and didn't wash your hands, right? You know, people notice stuff, you know? I don't think we have that problem. I mean, from what I've observed, you guys are pretty good with hand washing, but you know what I'm saying? It's amazing the little things that make a difference. Somebody might believe that if we're walking around in our scrubs outside that it's not good. Since it's a hot rule anyway, we follow. So these are the kinds of things that make wow. It's funny that that would make wow, but it does. Because somebody will notice and think whatever. Yeah? Now, one more thing. Raja said over and above. You're doing the extras, right? For example, I gotta do one more story. There's a place in the United States, a newer chain called In-N-Out Burger. Anybody eaten at an In-N-Out Burger? They're all over the place. You have?
I know what I do.
No, but you've heard of it. In-N-Out Burger, okay? The point is this. Bob and I went in one recently in the States to see what it was like because we had heard some things about it that were pretty neat. And here's what we see. First of all, somebody took our order, gave us our little number. We sat down at a booth because we were eating in. And we wanted to see it, you know. And some guy walks over and he says, so how are you today? What did you order? And we're glad to have you. And we said, oh, it's our first time here. And he said, welcome. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Let me know how you like it. Did we feel welcome? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then the same man, I noticed, is over at the door. There were two doors, right, to the store. And he's over at the door helping an older couple. The lady was with the walker and the guy was kind of helping her, but he wasn't very stable himself, right? So this same man gets the door open and helps get them to a booth or whatever and takes their order to the counter and, you know, helps them. Same man. A few minutes later, our order was ready, we were eating, and I look over and some kids had spilled a bunch of salt packets and, you know, whatever over at the same man is cleaning up the mess with the broom over in the corner by the salt packets. See what I'm saying? Same man. He was the manager. Right? Now, it doesn't matter who he was. We also noticed that the lady who had taken our order also was cleaning something up later on the floor. In other words, they just move around and do whatever is needed to make it wow. And this business has gone like crazy. They have kids who start at high school age, working with them, maybe cleaning up the parking lot, throwing away the trash, whatever they're doing, learning to cook the burgers, you know, whatever part they give them. And after some years, they promote from within. And of course, with burgers, it's not like you have to be certified assistant, you know, you just, and do you know that they make those kids, they don't hire from out. They make those kids the assistant manager and eventually the managers. The managers at In-N-Out Burger make $160,000 US a year. That's about 500,000 dirhams a year. Now, how are they doing that? Wow. We can do well. I challenge you. I want to see a smile on everybody's face. All of you look kind of early morning. Let's smile today. Thank you, Marcy. Let's smile at everybody, not just at each other, but at everybody, and enjoy. I'm going to tell you something. I just looked at Rusty with his smile. I can't tell you a time that I see Rusty that he doesn't smile at me. A lot of you. You know, I just happened to notice him just now. Okay? Wow. Remember, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, okay? All right, thank you for letting me